If you're not making enough money right now, it's not, oh, someone else in power, I'll be saved. No, like you need to figure out a way to make more money. And I think that real estate has always been a way to create wealth, and millionaires are made from real estate. We've heard that our whole lives, but this is something really unique because it's following exactly like you said, this incredible trend partnered with what we've all been told is how you can make money. And it's, oh my goodness, this is it. This is our generation's wealth train. And whoever gets on is going to be real happy no matter how.
Welcome to the RAL Room Assisted Living Podcast with your hosts, Charlie Cameron and 𝐓𝐢𝐦𝐞𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐦𝐩𝐬. This is your go-to show for cutting-edge insights from industry leaders in residential assisted living.
Whether you're ready to launch your own assisted living business or looking to invest in this fast-growing, high-impact sector, we are here to equip you with the tools, strategies, and confidence you need to succeed. Get ready to ride the silver tsunami and change the future of senior care. Now on to today's show.
Welcome back to today's episode of the RAL Room Assisted Living Podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Cameron, and today we're absolutely thrilled to have Isabelle Guarino on the podcast. A lot of you will probably know her name. Thanks for joining us today, Isabelle.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
This is so awesome to finally be with you on this podcast. And I would love it if we just started with a brief introduction for those that somehow don't know who you are. What do you do right now, and where, before we jump back to how your journey in assisted living started?
Yeah. So right now I own and operate 3 care homes here in the Phoenix, Scottsdale market, invest in about 50 across the country, and have been doing that for the last 14 years. And the last 10 years, we've been training other people. I'm just like, the RAL room, and I love it. I love the education in the space because it is so important that you know what you're doing before you jump in. So training people just like you guys for the last 10 plus years. And that is just my absolute favorite thing in the whole world, is opening people's eyes to this really amazing way to invest, to serve seniors, do good and do well, and just have that impact.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the motto, do good and do well. And you're absolutely right. There's just so much room in the space for not just good education, but opening a bunch of homes. Like we were doing the math, and I gave this little pitch to a separate mastermind that I've been a part of for years, called the War Room. It's a military mastermind. I put together this 10-minute pitch on why you need to get involved in senior care. Not necessarily homes. It was like, oh, do you have a contracting business that can do this, or in-home care, or a different staffing agencies? There's lots of adjacent things that people could get involved in that makes sense. And part of that pitch was like, hey, if all 100 of us opened a home tomorrow, or 100 of us opened 10 homes, so 1,000 homes total, it would meet 0.05% of yesterday's need. It's like a ridiculous, it doesn't matter. That is a minuscule impact.
Yeah.
Everyone that goes through your program, through our program, opens homes, that's beneficial to everyone. And there's enough to go around, which is really maybe the coolest part. So the more seniors and families we can serve, the better off everyone's going to be, because the shortage is real and it's going to continue to get worse.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. And I think people, I'm sure, will even start to ask all of you guys that too. Why do you teach? Why don't you just go open 1,000 of them yourself? It's like, that doesn't help. If you actually care about seniors, then not only would you open one for yourself, but you tell everyone you know to go open one, because there's so much opportunity. And it's caring about the seniors. It's caring about the caregivers. And it's caring about yourself, your future. What do you want for your kids? Don't you want financial freedom? The world isn't looking so good anymore. When they can charge $20 for a smoothie, they're never going to charge $6 again. It's no one's coming to save you. If you're not making enough money right now, it's not, oh, someone else in power, I'll be saved. No, you need to figure out a way to make more money. And I think that real estate has always been a way to create wealth, and millionaires are made from real estate. We've heard that our whole lives, but this is something really unique because it's following exactly like you said, this incredible trend partnered with what we've all been told is how you can make money. And it's, oh my goodness, this is it. This is our generation's wealth train. And whoever gets on is going to be real happy no matter how. I love that you said that. You could be investing in diapers, medical beds, in-home care, whatever. We need it all. We need it all.
Yeah. No, I love that point. I love the holding accountability thing. You got to take action, and this is a fleeting opportunity. it's going to be a great opportunity for the next few decades. Right?
Yep.
And so if folks are thinking about it and listening to this right now, this is your sign to get started, to get involved one way or another,
Yeah.
and really dive in, because man, the supply demand problem is huge, and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah. My dad used to say that, and I say it all the time. You are going to get involved one way or another. You will either be lying in the bed or writing the check for someone who is, or you could be owning the real estate or operating the business, cash flowing, and having this place for when you need that care. So you don't get to choose to be involved in this. It's like death and taxes, right? This is the step before death. Like 70% of people will need daily care. The odds are, that someone in your life or you are going to need this. So you can't really escape it.
You can't. Oh man, I love that you said that. And that's such a great point. And so many of us haven't thought about it really until I got into assisted living myself. I hadn't even thought about, but what am I going to do for my parents? I'd seen my grandparents and what they went through. And I think everybody has a story like that, right? But I hadn't even thought about it. Oh, I haven't planned for this. I haven't saved for this. I haven't thought about myself either. Now I'm buying homes thinking, oh, is this the one I'm going to put myself in one day? And so many of us don't realize, especially as millennials, like you are going to end up with care for somebody at some point, whether it's in an assisted living home, whether it's bringing someone into your home to care for them, or you quitting your job to care for them. And it's coming and you don't realize it. The burden that is about to happen, mostly financially, that to so many families.
It's a huge financial burden, and it's also an emotional burden to go your whole life being a daughter or son, and then all of a sudden have to change into this caregiver yourself. If you are saying, I want this person to come live with me and I'll do the caring, that's a lot of pressure for an adult child to now be in those intimate spaces with their loved one. Like it is, don't let anyone lie to you. It is very different wiping a kid's butt than it is your mom's butt. Okay. That is totally different. And you cannot unsee that. You cannot unbe there. Like when I understand people become immune to it, but it's actually very different when it's not your family member. It can become like part of a job and you can just do it. And caregivers are amazing, right? We don't give them enough credit. But when it's your own loved one, like that is a very intimate space to be in, and you're now in it every day. So people don't think about that. They think, how could I ever let someone else care for my mom? Or those places are terrible. But they're not actually thinking about the resentment, the anger, the guilt, the frustration, the change of relationship that happens when you bring a senior into your home, that you are not the daughter again. You're not the son. You are now the caregiver. And it completely changes everything about your relationship with them. And is that really what you want for the last couple of years of your loved one's life? It's not what I want. I want to have beautiful moments and beautiful memories, not this weird, tumultuous feeling with them.
Yeah. It of course, is going to create a lot of stress. That stress may rub off from you to your loved one. And as well as they're going to be feeling undignified in a lot of ways. Maybe they don't want that feeling. They want you to come visit them in a great location where they already feel safe. They feel like they're at home, but you can come visit them on their terms, really, instead of on the living in terms. So not that it's not necessarily a bad thing, like we said, and culturally, I think you will have, of course, families that do want that, but I think there are others that would not. And so I think that's where residential assisted living comes into play so well.
Yeah, it's that perfect in between, because we also don't want that big box feeling where you're just a number and no one actually cares about you. It's like, that's not acceptable either. Like I really do believe in this amazing I wish in-home care was less expensive, because that is the coolest option to me. Like I have a nanny for my son and I love that. Like I'm all about that one-on-one in-home care. But it's just not feasible for so many people because of the financial burden on that. So residential assisted living is that perfect in between. Maybe you can't afford a one-on-one. You don't want to be neglected in a big box. Here's that shared care option. And that is just a beautiful way to go about it.
Yeah, I love that. Oh man, this is off to a good start. Isabelle, for those who don't know, can you give us your backstory? Tell us about your dad and about how everything got started for your homes and the RAL Academy and what that looked like for you.
Yeah. About almost 15 years ago, my grandmother fell and broke her hip and she needed assisted living. And my dad had been a real estate investor for 30 years up to that point. He'd done everything under the sun, right? Wholesale, fix and flip, everything, right? Short term, long term, doesn't matter. And when this happened to her, she was living in upstate New York, and we went to search the options like every family does. And we were like disgusted by everything out there. I didn't want to leave my goldfish, let alone my grandmother, in most of these homes. They were terrible and they were expensive and they had waiting lists. And it was like, this is what happens. Like, this is the choice. So it became abundantly clear that there was an opportunity to bring something else to the market. Now, in upstate New York, there's not many of these. So we are living in Arizona. We went back to Arizona and said, there's got to be something more here. When we found residential assisted living, we bought an existing care home that was up and running with the intent to move my grandmother in. She passed before we could move her in. But my dad just fell in love with the industry and was like, better than anything I've done in real estate. I feel good about it because I know I'm providing that option that we couldn't find for my mom. I need this. And so he went all in, sold everything else he was working on and went all in. At the time, I was a flight attendant. So I was hearing what was going on, going to visit the facilities, go see what's happening. But I had no interest in real estate. I'd grown up with it. We toured the open houses and done everything. And I was like, not for me. But being a flight attendant, you make no money, right? It's fun because you get to travel around the world, but you're broke. And I grew up a certain way and I wanted to keep my life a certain way. So I'm like, this is not going to work for the long run. So as I would have my off days, I'd start to ask my dad, like, hey, can I help you with this? Can I help you with that? And as I would spend more time in his office, overhearing conversations and seeing what's happening, and he would assign me different things. Hey, go to the care home and I need you to build the activities calendar for the month. I need you to find volunteers to come over and do this or do that. I need you to go decorate it. And so he started putting me in the homes, like, so I could see what this was like. And as soon as I realized, oh, this is so different than what you've been doing in real estate. This is like very different. I fell in love. And I just really was like, how can I be a part of this? Because I saw the change it was making in my family becoming financially free. I saw the seniors getting the care and respect that my grandmother we weren't able to find for her. And I really just fell in love with it. I started working with him more and more. Back then it was me, him, and one other gentleman. And gosh, that was 10 years ago. We now have a team of 50. We've built like 8 other companies, all really surrounding assisted living. And they've just come out of people asking for more. How do I get this? How do I get this resource? What do we do here? And so we've just continued to create and develop so that we can serve everyone in this industry. And we're not done yet. Hopefully there's still a lot more to go. When he passed in 2021, it was very sudden. He got COVID and he passed within 2 weeks. There was zero conversations about, wow, this is what happens. This goes here, this goes there, like nothing, because it was hard for him to breathe, let alone talk. And we weren't thinking we were going to lose him. We were thinking like, oh, he'll get better. No conversations, nothing. It was literally just pretty much gone in a moment. And that really led my family to look around and say, okay, is this it? Do we shut down? Or we helped a lot of people. We've got our care homes. We're financially free. We can just sit back and chill the rest of our lives if we wanted to. And that's a beautiful thing that he left us. But we all felt this calling, like there's still so many more people who need to hear this message. There's still so many more seniors who need to be served. So many caregivers who are trapped in a big box and want to serve seniors, but the system is set up to fail them. And it was just like, we have to keep going to honor him and to keep this going and to help everyone we know. And my siblings and I all work together. My mom is our principal owner. And so we all just kept that going forward. That was 2021. So it has been a minute now that I have come out from behind the scenes where I loved being to now sharing with everyone I know about this.
So the company. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That must have been absolutely just super difficult at the time. Very cool to hear and to see your journey of taking the reins and really running with it and continuing to build the legacy and making a huge, huge impact across the space, which is undebatable. I think that's just so cool. So thank you for the kind of getting started journey and how you got to where you are today. Let me ask some kind of nitty gritty operations questions from the expert here.
Yeah.
What is one of the most surprising challenges you faced when starting the homes or taking over the homes?
Oh, staffing is the
Staffing.
hardest part of this business. I'm sure everyone says that, but for real,
Yep.
I think when you're first starting and you're getting up and running, funding is a challenge. Like everyone is like, how do I get this money? Where do I get this money? Funding becomes the challenge. But once you're up and running, it's staffing all day. That is just the continual issue. And it's an issue because we don't have enough staff. And it's an issue because caregivers are not paid enough. Like it literally, teachers, nurses, and caregivers are not paid enough. I'm sure there's a bunch of other industries, but those are the three that I really feel like if we could pay them $1 million a year to do this job, they deserve it. And I wish we could, but it's really it's not set up that way. And that's tough because you have such an amazing heart when you sign up to do this. You could get paid the same at Chick-fil-A or In-N-Out, but you're not going there. You're coming here. And so I have to respect that and honor that in you. And I think that has been not only a struggle in the beginning, but it's always a struggle. And it's something that I'm continually working on. Like, how can I be a better boss? How can I love on them, respect them, appreciate them, get more retention and loyalty? And when I have someone we're celebrating their 3-year, or we've had caregivers for 7 years, like when I have someone who hits those milestones, I'm like, this is what it's about. Like, I did something right to keep them there. But when we have turnover, I'm immediately into like problem solving mode. Where did I go wrong? What did I not ask? How did I fail them? Because yes, it could be about them, but as a boss, I think it's so much more important. You just dissect yourself, your company, your business, your protocols. What did you do wrong and how can you do it better? Because turnover is real in this industry and it is tough and it will make or break you as a business owner in the RAL space.
Wow. Yeah, man, there's a lot of good stuff there, especially the pay rates aren't that different than fast food, which is shocking. What are some ways you've found that you retain staff?
Some of my top things, and we like talk about this a lot at the training because I think it's so important, but some of my top things are when they're first coming in, I have everyone take a predictive index test. Have you ever heard of that?
We've talked quite a few times about DISC assessments.
Okay.
How is it different?
Very similar to DISC, but it
Okay.
is so accurate, it can be held up in a court of law. Okay. Like it is the most accurate test. It is wicked expensive. It's super expensive, but it is so worth it because it tells you how patient someone is, how risk tolerant they are, AKA, should I have them passing pills or not? Like, amazing if they're more collaborative or more of like dominant, like I'm the boss, my way or the highway, and then they're extroversion or introversion. So it's doing those 4, and then it shows you who they are naturally, who they feel they have to be in this job, and how they come off. That is fascinating because when the who they are naturally and the who they feel they have to be, when those are off, that person is someone who can't wait till Friday. Like they hate their job and they're not happy there. So why I don't want to hire them. If you don't like being a caregiver, I'm not going to hire you. When they match and they're sitting in their skills and their God-given abilities, now you're going to have longevity in this career. So I love the PI test. I won't hire anyone without taking it. That's huge upfront. And then I think ongoing, to me, it really comes down to the attention that you are giving your staff. Because the reality is, as a passive or hands-off owner, my families don't know me. My seniors don't know me because I'm not in the home on a day-to-day basis. So me turning all my attention on them is actually not the right move. As a passive hands-off boss, I would have put all my attention on the staff. Because if I love on them, I respect them, I treat them well, they will in turn do the same for my seniors. And it's a trickle-down effect. So when we were in the beginning and I would have a caregiver who, I remember this, a caregiver called off. They called and they were like, hey, I'm having car trouble. Like, I'm going to be late, or I don't even know if I can come in. Like, we've heard the story. Tale as old as time, right?
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, like it sounded like cars were whizzing by. So I'm like, where are you? And they were like, I'm on the side of the 60. I'm like, where? They're like, I'm off Alma School. I'm like, okay, I'm coming. I literally came to them. And I was like, take my car. Maybe I shouldn't have done that, but I'm like, take my car, you go in. They went in, they're a half hour late for their shift. I don't care. I called the administrator, I let them know, hey, we figured that out. I took their car, went with AAA, got them new tires and brought it back to the care home. And then was like, hey, your car's out front. It's all good to go. I'm going to take my car. Like, you're good. Those new tires, when I'm cash flowing $10,000, $15,000 a month on this home, $400 of tires is nothing. To them, that's like multiple days of pay. That is huge. That caregiver stayed with me for 4.5 years because they probably were like, wow, no, someone at the Brookdale, someone at the Sunrise would never do this
No.
for me. They don't care. They say, that's your third time being late this week. You're fired. But just to go that little above and beyond and you know what? If I would have said, where are you at? And they would have not been able to tell me, then maybe they were not the right fit. Maybe they're like, oh, never mind, never mind.
My car's working. Yeah.
So sometimes I think it's like about doing those small things. We have everyone take the love languages test. I try to, give them attention and appreciation in the way that they want to receive it. They want to hear it. And just doing those small it's not small. That's a big thing. And I'm not buying tires for everybody, but like that caregiver have been with us for a while. And it just felt like, why are we making this money if we're not going to also go serve people? And serving people doesn't mean someone across the world in Africa, although I love that. That's amazing. It could be serving the people who actually work for you. Yeah, you give them a paycheck, but sometimes you need to give them like a heart check. Sometimes you need to give them like, just, I honor you. Like I see you. I see that you're working hard. And that goes a long way.
Yeah, your staff in this business, your staff is your business. And I love that. And as a veteran, it just goes such a long way when your leadership leads by example and by action rather than by rank.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing there. And man, that story's so cool. I love that. And I can see why that caregiver would stick around for 4 years, because they were actually cared for. They felt like they mattered. And I love the implementation of personality tests and understanding what makes them tick. First, making sure they align, and then understanding what makes them tick.
Yeah.
And it's so important. You're supposed to do this for relationships, but nobody teaches you this in school either, right?
No.
What is your partner's love language? And
Yeah.
how, because it's not yours, most likely. Hey there, sorry to interrupt this episode, but I've got a question for you. Do you want to share in the wealth and incredible returns from the highest demand asset class in real estate without the hassle of doing it all yourself, or at least not yet? Residential assisted living is booming, and it's only gaining momentum. That's why we created an investment fund at Open Range Capital, so you can benefit without the heavy lifting. With the silver tsunami upon us, demand for assisted living is far outpacing supply, making this the can't miss opportunity for the next few decades. We provide access to fully vetted investment opportunities that are primed for success and ready to deliver strong passive returns. Don't wait, ride the wave with us. Visit theralroom.com/invest to partner with us on future investment opportunities. Again, that's theralroom.com/invest. We look forward to connecting with you. Now back to the episode. And so you're like trying to give love in a different way. And they're like, what the, like, why won't he or she just do this thing that I like?
Exactly.
And so you actually have to understand what they like. And it goes for employees too. Like they feel like they're part of a team because you actually took some time to understand that their love language is whatever, words of affirmation. And now you're actually giving them that and giving them words of approval. Or maybe it's gifts and you bring them a little something as a thank you. Like that goes a long way, and it shows you actually care. And it's such above and beyond the big facilities they came from that it's a no-brainer that people would A, want to stay there, and B, probably tell their friends so that when there is a opening, you probably have a great line of referrals just waiting of caregivers to come work for you.
So many caregivers will refer other caregivers when you treat them right. And that example is like above and beyond. But I think like it even comes down to the small things. If your dishwasher breaks, getting it fixed ASAP, like getting a new one, getting it in there, getting it installed in a day so that your caregivers now don't have to do freaking 100 dishes a day. It's like that too. Like you think that's just about you and a line item for the house. No, it's not. That's you loving your caregivers because you're giving them the resources they need to actually go do their job. And so it trickles down to everything. A lazy boss will create lazy caregivers. And in turn, your seniors and your families are not going to be happy. You're going to get a bad reputation and you'll be put out of business. You have to be on top of it. And you have to be serious about respecting them and giving them what they need to go do their job. You're not doing it. So go give them what they need to go do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is this stuff you teach your administrator too, to go do on your behalf?
Yes. At first, when we hired our administrator, we started with hey, if there's a spend over $500, you got to call me. Nothing's approved, right? And then like over time, it's okay, 1,000, okay, 1,500, right? Okay, this, that. Now my administrator and I are like so in sync and aligned that she knows what I would want to do or like what I'd be okay with. And so now I think it's like $3,500. Like anything under that, she can go do on her own. She has approval of. And if I have a question on it, she'll tell me what's going on. But for the most part, I've trained her like, this is how we love our staff. This is how we respect our staff. This is how we speak to our staff. And it also comes down to compassionate honesty. I think that a lot of people in this day and age are really walking on eggshells when they are a leader and a boss. And you have a military background. That is not at all what you guys do. You don't walk on eggshells at all. But I think like the world we live in is teaching us to, oh, don't hurt anyone's feelings and don't do this, don't do that. You are not being a good boss when you are lying to your staff, telling them they're doing amazing when they're actually not doing great over here. And maybe they did one good thing and you're just, let me just highlight this and we'll wash this under the rug. That's not being a good boss because they are not going to know that they need to fix that or do better at that. So I think with your administrator, with your caregivers, with everybody, you have to lead with compassionate honesty, or in some people's world, they call it awkward transparency. Like you got to be real when they're failing you. So they will respect you more. Like people are afraid to have those combos. They're going to leave me. They're going to think what? No, they're not. No, they're not. People have thanked me when I've called them out for things because they know that now they're cognizant. Now they can go fix it and actually do better. And now we all can be truly happy instead of me holding it in and not being honest with it. I think that's huge. It's not just about love and give them everything. It's like also having those hard conversations.
Yeah. Constructive feedback is what we call that in the military.
Yes.
It's got to happen or your organization will never get better. It'll only get worse over time.
Yep.
If everything is held back, and that's not a good space for seniors to be in.
Nope.
And it creates a slow decline, like you alluded to earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, goodness. So let's switch gears a little bit to financing. You mentioned this being the hardest thing off the bat. We have had conversations about what's a better way to do this.
Yeah.
What do you, or let me first ask, how did you and your family get financing initially for these 3 homes? Like first one, the next one, and then what do you recommend now for folks who are just getting started on their first home?
So all 3 of our homes, we had private lenders. So because my dad had been in the real estate space, he had a lot of connections in that regard. So he just went out, raised money from, it was actually one home was just one lender, one home was 2, and the third home was 2. So only 5 investors with us to get that up and running. He invested in the first home a bit of his own capital as well, maybe like less than 20%, not a ton, but a little skin in the game just to prove concept and all that good stuff. Now, I still highly suggest private lenders are a great way to go. There are like, what are people investing in these days? Gold and coffee and like crypto. Come on.
Yeah.
This is something that literally impacts us and you can see it. You can feel it. It's keeping your money on Main Street, not Wall Street. And I think it's a really beautiful thing that when you pitch it correctly, an investor would be crazy to not want to work with you. Like I've heard a lot of bad pitches. All right. So that's why I say correctly how to sell this, but it's super important to share with them about this opportunity because it may not seem like seniors isn't sexy. Okay. But the money can be. It's all how you pitch it. So I think private lenders is still great, but we also lean a lot on SBA 7A and 504 loans. We have tons of connections for our students that we send them that way because I think that is a really great way to fund this. It can be tricky, but those are probably my top 2 best ways to fund this.
Yeah, no, I love that. And a lot of folks, we talked to you mentioned all those crazy investments going on right now. And gosh, most folks never have access to something better than the stock market. Right. And so they're just watching their accounts go up and down and down and down. And you can go out there and go, hey, guess what, friends and family, I'm doing this really cool thing. I think it is sexy because you're fulfilling a need and it's an actually fulfilling business rather than just like crappy Airbnb guests and whatever. Here's some more toilets. Like none of that matters. This is actually taking care of people. And you can present that as hey, this is a really cool model. And also we can get paid together. I can pay my friends and family by investing with me and they can make a better return than they could ever get in the stock market. That's more stable. I mean, most people never get that opportunity. They have to do stocks and it's crap and they never get that great mailbox money or higher returns. It doesn't need to be a pitch at all. It can be I have this cool opportunity. You either come along or somebody else will, really, because you're right. There is money out there. There are people willing to invest. especially those who are adjacent to the industry. We find a
Yeah.
lot of physicians are like, yes, that's what I want to park my money in because
Yep.
they love it. They see the need and they've got money to give. So yeah,
You
you're
guys have
absolutely right.
have such a unique niche with the RAL room in that you have the crew of medical professionals from Dr. Alex, you have the military base. It's like those are both two incredible groups of people who are looking for amazing investments. Like you said, I think when I say that raising the capital is people struggle up front, it's not that it's difficult to raise the capital, it's that people can't get out of their own way.
Mindset. Yep.
That is the hardest part, is that they're like
Yes.
so limited by this is all I have. And none of my friends and family have money. It's okay. Like, I think that just like you said, many people are investing in a whole bunch of stuff that's not getting them great returns. And if you could offer them something with better returns, all of a sudden people around you magically have money.
Yeah.
It's all about the presentation. And I think finding that group of people who you connect with, who you speak their language, you guys can speak to that veteran that in a way that I can't. And you get their needs, you get their concerns, and they say, this is exactly what I've been looking for, something that can be that next step for me after this career. And so I think it's a beautiful thing. Like, everyone getting into this, you have your own unique background, experience, bias, and pool of people who you may be able to call on. You just have to know what to say and how to get in front of them confidently.
100%. And for the listeners, just so you know, there's something called a self-directed IRA or 401k. And so all these people who are like, no, I don't have any money, it's all tied up in a 401k making no money. Oh, cool. We can roll that into a self-directed and you can still invest and get a better return with less taxes. There's that opportunity too, which a lot of people don't even know about, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's do one more technical question here on staying fully occupied.
Yeah.
What works? What doesn't work? What are your favorite tips and tricks or things to avoid?
Arizona's a tricky market because we teach nationally, and some of my students in other areas, they're like, oh, we have no problem. We've got waiting lists. So I think Arizona's unique in that we have 3,000 group homes in Maricopa County alone. There's 4,000 in the state of California. So 3,000 in one county, 4,000 in California, which is a quarter of our country, basically, right? By size and density. So there's just so many here. So some markets like a Texas, a Florida, and Arizona, it may be easier to get it up and running, but then it's harder to keep it full. That marketing piece is your continual everyday job versus you go open one in New Hampshire or Indiana and you are one of one. It may be harder to get it up, but now it's a whole lot easier to fill it because as soon as people hear about it, you're the hotspot. You're the place everybody wants to go because nothing else like that exists right now. So I think that in Arizona, I know you guys invest here too. We have that unique experience of saying, here's what marketing looks like. We have placement agents, which is pay for speed, and that will fill your beds quickly, but you're paying for it. And there's a ton of placement agents and there's a ton of homes. So why are they choosing you? You have to really build relationships with them. It's not just a contractual relationship. It's keeping that conversation going even when your beds are full. It's inviting them to the Christmas parties. It's introducing them to the culture within your home and really making them a part of your team, right? So placement agents is huge. I think the next one is local relationships. I know Brett Chuck Heavy's one of our students. He calls it like getting your 20 influencers in the space. So having those people, whether it's geriatric doctors, elder law attorneys, senior centers, daycares, churches, synagogues, temples, all of those surrounding community members who are influencers in your space, you have to go befriend them. And it's not, here's what I do, come fill my beds, me. No, it is, what are your problems and how can I help serve you? Because it might not be your care home. It might be something totally different, but for the most part, your care home could serve them if that is their problem. This is off topic, but we've had so many churches come through our training and they say, we've got real estate and we need to find a way to cash flow with it because church attendance is dwindling. And the average age of a churchgoer, I think right now in our country is 58 years old. And so they're like, our population of who attends is dying off. And so we're not making as much money as we used to. And at the end of the day, a church is a business, right? So they need to make money on that land, that piece of real estate. And so many churches are looking into
Interesting.
opening an assisted living on their campus. And
Huh,
to me, it makes a lot of sense. Like
it does.
it's a
Yeah.
beautiful partnership. So I think community relationships are your influencers, as Brett says. And then third, I would say web, right? Like whenever someone is going to find assisted living, the first thing they're going to do is assisted living in Marietta, Georgia. And whoever pops up is who wins the game. So you need to have a Facebook page, a website. You need to be using SEO and popping up on top. If I search that and you don't pop up, you are losing the game. You have to invest in your web because that is what people do right now. Yes, word of mouth is great. Yes, placement agents are great. But at the end of the day, if you're not popping up, they don't trust you. They don't know you. They don't like you. You need to pop up.
Wow. So many golden nuggets there. So Isabelle, thank you for those. I just want to touch on that last one for a minute because it's crazy to me when we've sent out mailers and stuff to talk to homes and businesses to purchase. And we talk to our own operators that lease homes from us that are struggling with occupancy. And my first question is always, what's your website? And it's just mind boggling. And I guess this is the silver tsunami from the business perspective of maybe boomers leaving the business industry that own these homes, but like mom and pop shops that have no website, have no Google My Business page, no ad presence, no SEO. I'm just like, and no social media. I'm just blown away. Those are all free, except for the ads. It's all easy. It takes minutes to set up and then you're there. And it takes a few more minutes to get some reviews and really start showing up. And it's just, I can't believe it.
I know.
And same thing we had recently an operator was like, we're having trouble filling beds. I'm like, where's your website? They're like, oh, we're working on that. I'm like, no, not we're working on it. I want to hear it's done. Like it's just crazy to me.
This is an interesting thing. I had a executive producer at A&E reach out to me to say, what if we were to do a house or a show on senior housing, like start to finish, how to start these homes? And I was like, that's not the show. The show is bar rescue for senior housing. I'm like, we need to do a show where we go into failing care homes and help rejuvenate them because half of them, just like you're saying, don't have a website. They're not treating their caregivers well. They've never raised their rates. They've been in business for 10 years and their rates are $2,500 per resident. It's, oh my gosh, we need to do a show like that. I'm like, that is what this industry needs because 80% of these homes are run mom and pop. And at some point, unless they're keeping up with innovations, which no, it's not, I'm not meaning to offend anyone, but if you're not running this as a professional business owner, learning and investing in yourself, you said, we attend masterminds, we do this, we do that. That is how you grow. You invest in your education. You learn all these different tactics, maybe not even from your own industry. I talk to people in all different industries all day long to learn what's working for you, what's failing over here, because maybe it will work for me, maybe it won't, but you won't know unless you start seeking information, educating yourself and investing in your education. And that to me is so vital as an RAL business owner and as someone who teaches in this industry. I'm constantly trying to learn what's working in the world so that I can now share it with you guys and keep that knowledge going forward. It's not enough to start something and just sit on it for 10 years. That's not going to work.
Yeah, you have to keep learning and improving. And so many are not. So many have thrown the towel in and now they're losing occupancy and they're trying to still sell their homes for top dollar. And you're like, it's just not how selling a business works. You have to keep it performing if you want top dollar. But yeah, definitely the rescue show would do pretty well, I would think.
So fun.
Yeah. Hope that comes to fruition. When I was selling real estate, I almost got to do that, but it didn't work out with timing. But I got to have a couple of friends referred and it got them on it was like buy in 24 hours or some crazy thing. And yeah, it was an interesting show for like military members buying houses. And
that's a fun show.
I don't sell houses anymore. I don't wish that upon anybody. But those days are behind me. Okay, we talked about occupancy. Loved that. So if you were to, let's say, and you can answer this on any one of your businesses, but if you were to start over, is there anything you would do differently in terms of the homes or education business or anything else?
I just am such like a believer in every mistake leads you down the right path. So I feel like all the failures and mistakes have been so good for me to go through because they have led me to be able to teach people to avoid those mistakes. And if I didn't have the battle wounds, then it would just be theory. And I want to teach like how painful it is when you get the middle of the night call, or how emotional it is when daughter Judy comes in and has those conversations with you. So there's nothing major that I would change besides the fact that I think that we all, the longer we're in this, and especially myself, and I'm in this category, we lose perspective on the emotions that the family and the senior are going through in the beginning phases of coming into a care home. And I think it is so important to not lose that perspective, because for you, this might be your 1,000th resident. For them, it's their first time. It is their first time, and they are feeling the feels. Like, it is a lot. And you need to remember, you are not selling a bedroom and a bathroom. You are not selling food. You are selling peace of mind. You are selling care, love, attention, quality, independence, dignity, respect. And it's, again, it becomes almost like a realtor where it's just, okay, we got this, we got da, 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 and it's nope. Take it back. Take it back to when your loved one needed care. Take it back to how desperate you felt, how angry you felt, how judgmental you felt of every home you were walking into. You have to remember that. And it's almost like I now have like rituals before we do tours where I'm like, okay, head and heart, get in the space of this is what it felt like. This was the feelings I had when I was going through it. She, he, whoever it is about to walk through that door, and feel this times 10. So put yourself back there, speak to that. Don't speak to, look at this renovation I did. Isn't the kitchen beautiful? Like, they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. They're
I have
so
dishwashers. Like, what?
yes. So it's like remembering the emotionality of it all is just, you can't forget that. I think that's something that is in the beginning. I think I lost it pretty quick. And I was like, why aren't my tours converting? What's wrong? And we like hired a coach. We had him even come do a whole training because I was like, I need this, right? So I'm like, okay, come do this training, fill your home fast. How do we do it? And as soon as I like was there, I'm like, that's what I'm missing. I'm forgetting the emotions involved. I'm not putting myself where daughter Judy is. I need to be in her headspace, her heart space, her mental zone, so I can now connect and I can have those real conversations with her, because sometimes it's not about a room. Sometimes it's about, my siblings are pissed off at me. They don't trust my judgment. I don't know how we're going to pay for this. Do I need to go sell mom's house? Like, they want to have all these conversations that if you're sitting there just trying to have this conversation, they don't want that. Like, sometimes they just need a friend or someone to talk to. And so that to me is like huge. And it's like a mistake I was making up front that I was like, whoa, got to fix this. And it's a mistake that whenever I don't book a tour, I'm again like, what did I do wrong? How did I not connect? Where did I miss this? And most of the time it's forgetting the emotionality of all of this.
Oh man, preach. That was, yeah, such good advice. It is in one way related to realtors, because I've been there, and as a new realtor, you're like, look at the shades and look at the wall paint. And, but then you realize that people aren't buying their home that they're living in, not investment properties, but their single family like their primary residence, based on the color of the paint. They're buying it based on how they feel and the emotions, right?
Yeah.
They picture themselves living there. And that's what you need the families to do, is picture the residents living there. We went and toured these two really cool homes 10 minutes from me this past weekend, the boys and I, and they did such a good job, the owners, and they're brand new. And they talked about their tours, and they have a screen there at the main table, and they invite them over to have a meal with the other residents. And then they do a presentation. And in that presentation, they're going to fold in, oh, their favorite sports team was this. They were in the Army. Let's put an Army logo. Let's play their favorite music. Oh, he likes apple pie. The chef's going to cook an apple pie. I know it sounds a little bit like bribery, but really what you're trying to do is make people feel at home. That's the ultimate goal, is they want to feel like this is a home that they will be cared for in, that their family member will be cared for in really well. And yeah, I can't emphasize everything you just said enough.
I feel like it is, I know you said, I know it's not bribery. I'm like, it's not bribery at all. It's showing that you are listening, that you care. Because when they tour that Brookdale, and maybe they do say, Dad loves apple pie. You know what the Brookdale tour guide's going to say? They're going to say, that's great. Every Tuesday we have apple pie as an option on the menu. They're not going to make the apple pie and give it to you. You know what I mean? That is listening. That is care. That is quality. And that's what these homes can offer over these big boxes. So I'm always thinking of, okay, what was that tour like? What can this tour be like? And listening is the number one thing that you like. It is zip of the lips and listen on the tour. That is how you have a successful tour.
Yeah, no, that's good. Okay, biggest mistake new RAL operators make. What is
Undercapitalization. A lot of people think, okay, I'm going to open and I'm going to start marketing. I'm going to do this open house and we're just going to fill up. And it's nope. You need to be marketing the day you even think about starting to get into this industry. You start marketing, right? You start building this brand and this recognition and the reputation so that when you do have that open house, and you should have open houses even before you're open, have hard hat tours, do all these different things to get people through the door and build it up. And then, okay, now you've got this wait list. Now you open. Now you might have 2 residents month 1. And pretty much on average, it's 2 a month. So if you need 10, that could take you 5 months. So we always say you need at least 3 months of reserve basically set aside, because even if you have some income coming in, you may not need to use all of it, but you're going to need to tap into some. And a lot of the worst mistake any business owner can make is having to go back to investors and ask for more money.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It is not a fun conversation. And like, let's be real. You look real dumb that you couldn't do math and figure out what this is. Or did you mess up and you didn't do your job, what you told me you were going to do in regards to marketing, in regards to efforts to fill these beds? And so it just makes investors look at you like real funny, and it's not a fun conversation to have. So I think undercapitalization is probably one of the biggest mistakes in any business, but especially this one.
Especially because you have 24/7 staff from day one, but you won't be full day one. And most people are not thinking that. That's one of the first things when we started our Facebook community, which was originally purely just to find more operators to lease to.
Yeah.
That was like the biggest thing that kept coming up. And we're like, no, you got to have money because you need multiple months of negative cash flow to get to the positive cash flow point. And so that was like the first thing, like we went and built, or I built, because I spent 11 years as an engineer. My background, I built a calculator, of course, and I just nerd out on that kind of stuff. And like one of the things it's got is, okay, business runway, thou shalt have this many tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars if you expect to only place 2 residents a month for the next 6 months. So you need to make sure you've got yourself covered and not just open the doors and not have that cash, because man, you'd be in a lot of trouble. And so we learned that quickly when we bought homes just to lease out is, hey, operator, show us how much cash you have in the bank, because if you don't have a big lump sum, we're not going to lease to you because you will fail. And that's not a good partnership or a good lessee relationships.
No.
Anyway, yeah, I'm so glad you said that. I think it's such a good point.
The state of California actually requires that you prove you have 3 months of reserve set aside to even get your license on your care home. And I'll get people all the time who are like, they require this. And I'm like, everyone should require that.
100%.
That is not a bad thing. And they're like, I won't need that. I'm like, oh, you're going to need more than that. You are going to need that. So I actually think it's when people hate rules and regs, I'm like, you shouldn't be in this, because they're there to protect us and to protect people who shouldn't be getting into this industry, getting into it. There are way too many people who I've seen come in and fail. And it's like, these are people's lives at stake. Like, you really cannot do this. And you need to educate yourself before. You need to understand this from a business perspective. It cannot be all heart. Like, that is not going to work, but it also can't be all money. You have to have the balance and understand it from both perspectives.
Yeah. And it's important because you do want to make money, because otherwise you can't actually serve the seniors and get good enough staff on your team. And so it's a weird thing where, yes, you want to have a caring heart and you want to make money, because without that, it's going to put your business in decline. It's like multifamily properties where they don't take care of stuff. Well, it starts to get worse, and then rents go down, and then it gets worse, and then people move out, and then it gets worse, right? You don't want to be in that death spiral, so to speak, especially in a care home where people's lives are at stake. Okay, sorry. I know we could go on about that one, I'm sure. And on your point about regulations, it is interesting. People always ask, what's the best state? And I hate that question because it's, these states just feel overregulated. Actually, no, they have a process, a checklist that if you follow, you can do well and do good and open a home that's up to standards and will meet Medicare, Medicaid, and all those other check boxes potentially. like California and Washington and states that have a lot more assisted living, and Arizona. It feels like more work, but really you've got everything set out for you when it's done. And then there's states where nobody's seen it before. They don't know what you're talking about when you say residential assisted living. And then good luck trying to explain to them what you're trying to do and how it fits into their code, even when they don't realize it. And yes, you may have an advantage there where it might be easier to fill residents, but you've got other cons that you're trying to fight through. We've done it ourselves in other states, and it's a hassle. I don't think there is one best location. It's if you're going to operate yourself, you need to be local. That's about my only, at least initially, so that you can figure out what you're doing before you hire somebody else to do it. But okay, I know we're coming up on time here, but I so want to ask this one question, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
What, Isabelle, do you see as the biggest trends happening in the assisted living industry right now? And how do you see it evolving over the next few years?
I think we are seeing a ton of wellness come into the space, meaning homes with farm to table food, organic options, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, all of these different things. We're also seeing like red light therapy, the sauna boxes that are waist down, more PT, OT, balancing bars, a lot more like wellness things in these homes. And someone told me the other day, one of our students, he just opened his care home in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And we were having a conversation because I was like, I'm so excited. Like, this is amazing. And he was like, we added a massage room. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if it's going to get used. And he said something that I was like, you got me. He goes, when you're a kid, when you're a baby, you're touched all the time. And the older you get, the less you are touched. And touch helps humans be happier, healthier, and live longer. He was like, we're not doing deep tissue massage, but like to be able to come and sit down and lay down and get your feet rubbed, get your shoulders rubbed. Like, these seniors need to be touched, not in a medical way, not in a sexual way, in just like a loving hands care way. And I was like, you got me.
Wow.
Like, I'm
ready to move in. I'm ready to free massages. Sign me up.
So I think wellness is going to be like the thing, because right now, silent generation in assisted living, they don't have as many needs, desires, and wants, but the boomer generation definitely has more.
The boomers do. Yeah.
And I think they're going to like wellness. And then I think the coming generations are going to like that even more. Like, definitely by the time we get to our generation, I'm going to want that for sure. Yeah. So I think that is a trend. And then tech, we're going to see so much more tech come into this space. That's really exciting as well, because I think it can lower costs, it can create efficiencies, and it's going to be cool to see what happens in the future for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to demand there be that red sauna box massage therapy room. But yeah, tech too. We just had someone come on and talk about kind of incontinence monitoring and fall monitoring and all that stuff. And man, it's just so cool. You combine all of these together, and what do you get? You get residents who are cared for better and potentially live longer. Yeah, that's a win for everybody. Like,
I want them to live forever. Okay, live forever with me.
Yeah. Okay, Isabelle, how can listeners learn more from you and reach you?
You can follow us on any of the social medias: TikTok, Instagram. Oh, sorry. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever at RAL Academy. Or you can check out RAL101.com. I've got free books, free webinars. You can schedule a call with me or the team right there.
Nice. And you produce such great content. It's really cool to see.
Thank you. We have fun. And I just love talking about this and love chatting with people who know about this, because a lot of people are it's still so new. And it's fun to have this conversation with you guys at the RAL room, because I know you guys are rock stars and you're helping continue this narrative of we need better homes. We need smaller homes, and there's options. There's ways for you to participate. You don't have to have all the money in the world. You don't have to be a medical provider. You can get involved. And I think the more of us who can show people how they can get involved, the better we can change this industry. If every senior got quality care, in a residential home, that would be the dream come true. Yeah. I don't care who's providing it. I just want everyone to have that dignity at the end of life. And I think you guys believe that too. And that's why I hope to continue working with you guys for a long time, because I think it's a great partnership.
Yeah. Awesome. Us too. We're super excited. Man, this was such a great episode, Isabelle. It was so great having you on today. I just had a blast. Man, podcasts are so fun. And, this episode is going to get a ton of listens. So very excited for that. All our listeners, you got her info. It'll also be in the show notes. And thank you so much for joining us today, Isabelle. Thank you for sharing your insights. It's been an absolute pleasure learning from you.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for tuning in to the RAL Room Assisted Living Podcast. We hope you found today's episode insightful. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave us a raving 5-star review. And a quick review helps more listeners find the show and more seniors get the exceptional care they deserve.
And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And just so you know, we have prepared some free resources for you to help you succeed in residential assisted living in addition to this podcast. Head over to theralroom.com, that is the RAL room.com, to download our free 10-step guide to launch your first or next residential assisted living home, or our 10 reasons to passively invest in residential assisted living ebooks.
And if you're ready to take the next step and make real moves in the RAL industry, join us in the RAL Room Mastermind. It is an exclusive community where we deep dive into everything you need to launch and grow your own residential assisted living business. You'll get access to recorded courses, live calls with industry experts, a RAL calculator, resources and tools, like-minded entrepreneurs, funding opportunities, and an expert networking community to help you along your journey.
Be sure to join us next time on the RAL Room Podcast as we continue to explore the world of residential assisted living with more great guests. See you then.